Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today on the channel, we are taking a look at Life and Legend. And while this says Volume 1, rest assured, there is only ever going to be Volume 1. This is a game that was produced by Last Age Games, and I'm pretty sure they are now defunct. They are now out of business. They have one other game out, and that is called Fugue, and I did not take a look at that. But this was one of the very first games that I backed on Kickstarter, and I think it delivered around 2016 or 2017. I've had this game in my collection for quite some time, and I've been wanting to get it to the channel because out of every game in my collection, this is the single most unique game I own, and perhaps one of the most unique games I've ever played. People on various websites, Facebook groups, and such will often ask for recommendations for games that are off the beaten path, that are different, that a lot of people don't talk about. And this game is so off the beaten path that I never even see it recommended. But keep in mind that unique doesn't necessarily translate to good. And so when I'm saying that this game is unique, I'm not saying for people to rush out and find it and buy it. You can still find this game for about $30, so it's not some kind of rare collector's item or anything like that. But if you are looking for an adventure game that is off the beaten path, that is doing something different, this might be a game you want to look at. Let's read the back of the box here. Become an adventurous wanderer on a lifelong journey through a perilous world. Seek truth, justice, power, or merely fame and fortune. Prevail against your opponents. Overcome all obstacles set before you. Keep your eyes ahead and the wind at your back. Welcome to the world where you become the legend you are destined to be, or just a footnote in a dusty tome of forgotten lore. Unique background system, finite resources, risk management, and deep complexity. So that's just a little bit about the game from the back of the box. But Life and Legend reminds me of a game I might have stumbled upon way back in the early 80s in a game store, when game stores were, I don't know how to say it, less than friendly, when game stores were maybe a little more kind of esoteric, where a game store might also be some kind of head shop, maybe, where you could get some bongs, or you could get some blacklight posters, or weird books of magic spells, pewter dragons and wizards, and that kind of thing. Or this does remind me of a game that I might get at a store where in the town where I grew up, that was called the Brass Unicorn, kind of a hippie store. And this is an adventure game, and it bills itself as an adventure card game, but it is a very esoteric one, kind of a metaphysical adventure game. At its core, Life and Legend is a competitive game, and the players are competing to get the highest number of legends. And legends are basically victory points. And you can get victory points in mainly three different ways: by securing these relics, and relics are worth a number of victory points. Some relics are not worth any victory points. Some are worth, I believe, is between 1 to 3. You can also complete adventures such as this Dungeon Assault. And if you complete this Dungeon Assault adventure, you get to add that to your tableau, and that is worth 3 victory points at the end. You can also wander, and wandering is taking cards from the legend deck and keeping those face down in front of you. And those cards can be worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, and those cards can also be spent as a currency to do certain things depending on the game mode that you are playing. So that's the core game. There are also a number of variants. There is a variant called the Far Wanderer mode, which adds in a little more crunch, a little more detail, some things for some advanced players. There are also a number of solo modes, and in some of these solo modes, you will be collecting a certain number of victory points, focusing only on adventures, or focusing only on relics, or focusing only on certain things, and you're trying to kind of get a high score. And there are also a number of AI opponents that you can play against. And when you play against one of 4 AI opponents, you can play solo, you can play co-op against the AI, or you could introduce an AI opponent in a competitive game and have it be kind of a ghost player. So there are 4 different AIs you can play against: Matthias the Jongleur, Golden Horse the Brave, Jeffrey the Scholar, and the Emptiness. And each one of these AI opponents has a different way that you set up, and it also shows you what they do in each phase of the game. And so it is a pretty good AI system. In this game that we are playing right now, I have created my own victory condition for my own kind of solo play where I'm trying to get 15 victory points, and I can do that in any combination of relics and adventures. So let's talk a little bit about the game here. So the game, we have our world here, and the world is always going to be 4 legend cards. And these cards contain things such as events, and events can be atmospheres, and these can change the rules when they are face up. And so this event here is called Starry Nights. When this is face up in the world, and the world is 4 legend cards, either face up or face down. So when this is face up in the world, everybody's hand size is +1. And so your hand size of legend cards starts off at 4, but that can change throughout the game by placing various events. If this card was in your hand, then you could do what it says here in the hand. And for this card, you may play this card over an existing atmosphere or empty world space. Remove all other atmospheres in play. So there can only ever be 1 atmosphere at a time in the world. In the world right now, I also have this adventure. So this adventure here, I could go into the far forest. And in order to overcome this challenge in the far forest, I have one option, and I need some inspiration. And inspiration, these are keywords that you get on these trait cards from this life deck. Right now, I have the keyword bravery. So this is a trait. And I also have this life word called you. We'll talk about life words in a minute. I also have an exceptional trait that I got from the life deck, and that is cunning. And once per turn, I can roll a regular die, and on a 4, 5, or 6, I get to re-roll an adventure die. So adventure dies will be used when you are trying to overcome an adventure. So we also have this other adventure out here on the world, and that is called the unexplained phenomena. And to overcome this challenge, I have 3 different choices. I can have the keywords of charisma, into inspiration, and any keyword. And I also have to roll a 2 or higher on the adventure die. The red die, the red D6 symbols, those are adventure die symbols. And so you have to meet or beat that in order to overcome that. Or I can have these a combination of life trait words, you, hide, truth. I can overcome that. Or I can do a 3 adventure die roll. So roll this 3 times, having to get a 4 or higher, a 4 or higher, and a 3 or higher. If you overcome the challenge on an adventure, you get to roll the reward die, and then you get what you roll here. So if I were to roll a 1 or a 2 anecdotal, bring this adventure to hand, this adventure would come to my hand, and then I could play it again when there is an empty spot in the world. So this is the way that the world is set up right now. I have 1 card that is still covered. Covered means face down, uncovered means face up. This game uses a lot of kind of different terminology, different ways to address common things. And so that can make it a little hard to learn. And the rule book itself isn't great. There is an FAQ that is on Board Game Geek that does answer a lot of the questions. Unfortunately, the company, their website is gone. So they were going to do a new edition and have a better rule book, but I'm pretty sure that they are defunct now and that is gone. A long time ago, if you guys go to BGG, you might see a post from me asking the designer for a thematic Let's Play, because one of the main issues with this rule book is it does tell you the rules, but it doesn't really tell you how to play. And I've talked about how those 2 things are are they're different things. You have all of the rules here, but it's a hard game to conceptualize. It's a hard game to wrap your head around thematically. And the designer did do a thematic let's play, and that was on YouTube, but it is no longer there. They had two videos for this game, and both of those are gone. And as of March 2024, there's only one video on this game on YouTube. So again, that kind of shows you how under the radar this game is. And let's see, we've gone over the Legends deck. We have the World here. So this is the Life deck. In the Life deck, you draw from this deck as you complete Wanders. And so the Wanders are face down legend cards in your tableau. And you can spend those in order to draw a life card. And life cards get added to your tableau, and you can have 4 life cards in your tableau, and they can be any kind of trait. So you might have a trait of charisma. You can have 1 exceptional trait in your face-up tableau, and you can have any number of traumas. And traumas are bad cards. These things represent traumatic experiences that you have had as an adventurer out in the world. And these, you can have any number of these in your play area, and they will affect your hand size, or they might affect other things such as your adventure die results, or maybe legends. So you will have 1 less point at the end of the game, and so on. And so these are your life. These represent your traits. And these will also give you those key words. These will give you words of you, I, and I think that's all of the words that these that the life cards give you. And there are other words, there are other life words that you might get from various relics. And so the word hide here, or justice, or found, or what else do we have here? Any others? Lost. So there are a few different words, and you can put those life words together in phrases in order to unlock backgrounds. So this is your background deck, and your background deck consists of 3 different types of 3 different subdecks of cards. Basically, we have life stories, we have life paths, and we have life achievements. Let's take a look at life paths first. These are kind of like classes. These are vocations that maybe your adventurer has. So you can become the invoker, a knight, an illusionist, a sage, a ranger, an arbiter, bard, shepherd, a noble, a wayfarer, a warrior, and a rogue. And then you can combine those with your various life stories. So you can become disillusioned, philosopher, a conqueror, a meek, a wise, persecuted, merciful, warlord, judge, hero, hunted, or mystic. And as you combine these, you might be able to create new abilities that you can trigger on a turn. So you can take the disillusioned invoker, discard a trait card. So if you discard a trait card from your tableau here, you can disrupt a penalty. Disrupt means to negate its effect. And so the penalties might happen on the adventures if you attempt an adventure and you can't overcome it, then you have to face a penalty. But if you have this card, you could discard a trait from your tableau to disrupt that penalty. So there are different combinations here. Once per turn, reveal a hand of at least 2 events. You may. So if you had at least 2 events in your hand and you revealed those, you could reattempt a failed adventure challenge after the penalty is resolved. And so this would be the Philosopher Knight. And so that's kind of how you create your character, by unlocking these backgrounds and then combining a life story with a life path, and that will give you certain abilities. There are also these life achievements, and these go into your hand, and they do count against your hand limit of 4. But these can be discarded for any reason when you are told for a penalty to discard. So having one of these is kind of like having a hit point, but it also allows you to discard it to use a certain power. So this achievement, if you get the achievement of Chase, you can discard Chase before the start of a player's contemplation phase. That player must skip their next turn. So there is some take that elements, and there are a few take that elements that don't really translate directly to a solo play. So you do kind of have to discard those and just and maybe draw new ones. But we also get these cheat sheet cards here, and they will tell you all of the different life paths, life stories, and life achievements, and the combination of life words that you need to unlock those. So, again, to become the bard, I need to have you hide truth in my tableau. If I have that, I can go to that deck and take the bard as my life path. So that's pretty interesting. It's a really neat system. I'm not sure if it's a really good game, but it is so unique, and it is a game that I will probably never sell. And a lot of that has to do with its small size. It's a small box game. Here's Unreliable Wizard, a very small box game as a comparison. So let's play a couple of sample turns and we can kind of see what's going on here. So life cards get discarded. Legend cards will get discarded, and you keep the discard in the order because a lot of cards will allow you to take the top card from a discarded deck. The background cards are never shuffled, and they are when cards are discarded from the background deck, they are out of the game. However, some cards will allow you to reshuffle or add those background cards back into their respective sub decks. So right now we have our legend cards, and most of the time a game is played until all of the legend cards have been drawn. So the next time a player would have to draw a card from the legend deck and there are no cards, that triggers the end of the game. Here is my world here. Again, I have two adventures. I have the Far Forest, the Unexplained Phenomena. The Far Forest is a perpetual adventure that stays in the world until I decide to get rid of it. And I can get rid of it by discarding any one of my 4 legend cards from my hand. And then I have this Atmosphere card, which is Starry Nights, which allows me to have a hand size of +1. So that would be 5 right now. And we have 1 face down legend card in the world. We don't know what that is yet. So your the first phase of your turn is the contemplation phase. And it's here where I can bring relics into play. And so I do have 2 relics right now, and I think I do want to bring those into play just to show you how that works. So I have a Forgotten Lore. This Forgotten Lore takes 1 of my relic spaces. Again, I only can have 4 slots of relics in play at a single time. And so this one costs 3 and this one costs 1. So I'm going to bring this into play, and that gives me also the keyword hide. So this is a Forgotten Lore that gives me the keyword hide. I will bring that into play there. And then I'm also going to bring this into play, a Secret Missive. This will give me 1 victory point at the end of the game. And then once per turn, you may discard a card, disrupt an event when it is uncovered or placed in the world. So if I could disrupt an event, I could discard a card from my hand to get rid of one of these events that is in the world there. That also gives me the keyword, the life word of truth. So now I have 2 cards in my hand. So now I am in the world. I'm going on an adventure now. To go on an adventure in this forest, I need to have that keyword inspiration, and I do not. I only have bravery and cunning right now. To go on an adventure to have the unexplained phenomena adventure, I have to have cunning, inspiration, or any, and have a 2+ on a die roll, or I have to have you hide truth. Hey, look at this. You hide truth. So I could complete this adventure right now. I could also uncover this card to see what it is, or I could draw this into my tableau as a face down legend that becomes a wander. And the wander, again, are cards that you spend to draw cards from the life deck. So let's see what I'm going to do here. I think I will complete this adventure. So this adventure, Unexplained Phenomena, you hide truth. I have bravery, you, the Forgotten Lore, hide, and the Secret Missive, truth. So those aren't spent. These are things that I have learned on my adventure. So I always, as long as these are face up in my tableau, I always have you hide the truth. So you hide truth, I complete this adventure. So now I will roll the reward die and see what I get. 2. bring this adventure to hand. Okay, so this adventure now goes into my hand. The adventure was just anecdotal, so I don't get to keep it for its score right now. I would have to play that again and try to attempt that again in order to get a different reward. Okay, so that is the end of my world phase. Now we have my life phase. I can activate one background. So let's take a look at these life paths here. You hide truth. Okay, so we know that I have you hide truth. So I could activate that to become the bard. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'll go to my life path here and I will find the bard. Okay, so I am now the bard. That's my character. As a life path, I may have an additional exceptional trait in play. This counts toward your trait card limit. So you can have 4 trait cards in play with 1 exceptional trait. But as a bard, I can have up to 2 exceptional traits. And then also I can re-roll a regular die as a spark effect when that is combined with one of the path stories, one of the life stories. I don't have any of those yet. Okay, so I'll put the bard over here just off camera. And so the last part of this turn is called the resolution, and that's when you discard down to your hand size. Well, my hand size right now is 5. I have 3, so we're good. Okay, so let's go to contemplation again. We'll play another turn. I can bring a relic into play. I don't have any relics in my hand to bring into play. And so now here we do have an empty space in the world. And so I could add one of these adventures to it. We are in the world phase now. And so I'm going to bring back the unexplained phenomena. And let's see here. For my turn, I have to wander, adventure, or uncover a world card. Let's uncover this world card to see what it is. Okay, it is another adventure. Stirring from olden slumber. You seek truth. Okay, so I would need the keyword seek to do this. I would need 2 keywords of charisma, and inspiration, and a roll of a 3 up. Or I can try to get a 5 up for a 4 up on an adventure die roll. Reward, all players must discard 2 cards. Okay, so that's not really a reward. That would be more of a take that reward. And let's see here. When this is in play, so this purple circle here means all players may re-roll a regular die once per turn on their turn. So a regular die is shown as the white D6. And so this would actually give me a better chance of getting a better reward on one of these. Interesting. Okay, so I'm not going to activate a background. What do I need to get a life story? I hide truth. So to get a life story, I need an I. I lost, I found. So I need to get some more life points. I need to get some more life cards in my tableau here. So, okay, well, I need to discard down to 4. I don't need to do that. I have 2. So I'm not going to, my contemplation, I'm not going to bring any relics into play. I think I'm going to wander. Now, when you wander, you either have to discard an event or roll a 4, 5, or 6 on a regular die. Let's see this event here. The event will give me a negative -1 to my relic slots. Okay, I don't really want that, so I'm okay with discarding this to wander. So I will, for my world phase here, I will discard the pragmatism event and I will wander. Now, normally when you wander, you draw one of the face down legend cards from the world. But here I will draw, because there are none, I would draw 1 face down legend card from the deck. So I will add that to my tableau. You can have up to 4 completed wanders. At any time on your turn, you can discard a completed wander to draw a life card. So I will discard this. This was another event, a hidden pass. Remove this card. All players must draw a legend. Hey, that's pretty cool, but that's going back into the events. And now I get to draw another life. And now we have inspiration. Hey, so now the inspiration, I can actually go into the forest and complete the far forest quest because I now have this inspiration card. So now in my traits, I have cunning, I have bravery, and inspiration. Unfortunately, inspiration gave me another keyword of you, And that doesn't really help me unlock a life story, because for life stories, I do need eye. Yeah, for all of the life stories, I need eyes. And same as for your life achievements. So you does not help me there. But okay, so it is the top of my turn. Contemplation. I can bring a relic into play. I'm not going to. For my world phase, I think I will try to overcome this forest. So I need an inspiration. I have an inspiration, and now I can roll my reward die. And I rolled a 6. Rebirth. If the top card of the life discard pile is an exceptional trait, you may bring it into play. If not, draw a legend card. Okay, so there is no discarded life card here. So I will draw a legend card into my hand, and it is another event. In the fullness of time, remove all cards in the world. So when I play this, the whole world gets reset. And this symbol here, it's a locked symbol. That means that this cannot be disrupted in any way. And this is actually played immediately. So it goes into my hand, it's played immediately. Remove all world cards in play. So all of these get moved out into the discard pile there. And now we have only one card in the world event, or in the world. So the world gets cycled. Different effects on different cards will cause different decks to become to get cycled and recycled and so on. And you will have different powers that will allow you to interact with either the decks, the discards of those decks, or unlocking cards and so on. And so the way that I'm playing right now is up to a certain number of points, and I have to at least complete 3 adventures. And so these are the adventures here. I actually should have taken one of these. This is a house rule that I just added these glass tokens. And so when I play solo, I play up to a certain number of points with a certain number of something, either a certain number of relics or a certain number of adventure cards. And so I will add 1 glass bead over here to my tableau just to show that I have completed one of those. Actually, I've completed 2 now, right? 2 adventures. So yeah, that is Life and Legend. It's an interesting game. I don't know of any other adventure game that is like this. That is kind of this kind of contemplative game. It's a little new agey, but there are all kinds of really cool relics and an alias, credulous philosophy, a codex, all kinds of different adventures, the crossroads, the distant end, the bastion's fall, the signet. It's all very abstracted and esoteric and kind of metaphysical, but at the same time, it is thought provoking in a way. And at the end of a game, you can kind of take a look at your life path, at the character you've become, the bard, what they have accomplished, what their traits are, what kind of traumas they had, or what kind of traits they've gained, what kind of relics they've gained. And you do get a sense of this story. And this is kind of one of those games where I imagine this character that I'm playing in a game of Life and Legend is a old adventurer at the end of his or her life, and maybe they are thinking back upon their life and they are contemplating what kind of person they have been on their adventure in life. And I feel like that when I'm playing, and that's kind of why I like it. And just the different way that the set collection works with dice, and with all of the different decks and keywords and how you can spin those keywords to unlock certain abilities. It's a really unique game. And I wish there were more games in this space, especially games like this that have a lot of variety. And so you have different ways to play. You have that main co-op play. Playing against the AIs is pretty interesting. So you will have a different way to set up, and they will have a different way that they gain points, that they score their points at the end of the game. But then in each phase, it tells you exactly what they do. So if you were playing against Metaphysical here, in phase 1, they uncover the next hand card in line. So they uncover an adventure card, an event card, or a relic card. Step 2, if he has 4 completed wanders, discard 1 to draw a life card. So that's how the AI gains life. And then in phase 2, he's performing tonight because he is a singer. a famous traveling musician, peerless in the craft of song and verse. And so, if there are any perpetual adventures in the world, draw a life card. If they're not, you can go on to step 4. Something must be done. He'll attempt one trait challenge. Or maybe he's seen it all, or he's going on to the next horizon. And then in phase 3, what does he seek? He'll activate a searcher if possible. Phase 4, discard down to the hand limit size. Step 9 is one step ahead. Discard final hand card if it is uncovered. So I don't know, it's just a really interesting AI system, and it tells you exactly how this AI plays. They do break the rules a little bit, but it is kind of interesting. This emptiness AI here is one of the most difficult, so I've never played against the emptiness there. But yeah, overall, this is an interesting game. It's very unique. It's different. It stands out in the way it looks, and the way it sounds, and the way it's written, and the way that it plays. But it's definitely not a game for everybody. If you're looking for a crunchy adventure game with tactical combat and just more tangible things that we often think about when we think about an adventure game, this is definitely not that kind of game. But if you are looking for something different, I can recommend searching this out. Luckily, it's not a collector's item. It's not easy to find. I think there's one copy on eBay right now from who is it from? Noble Knight Games, and it's $35. And I think when this was on Kickstarter, it was maybe 20 or something, or 25. Maybe it was 30. But it's not one of those lost games that is super expensive. And so I think that's good, because if you want it, it is a little hard to find, probably just because there weren't a lot made, but it's not popular, so it's not a collector's item. So yeah, I've been wanting to make a video on this for quite some time, and I'm glad I finally did. I'm glad I finally got to share this really unique game with you guys, a game that I rarely see anybody talk about, and I think it does deserve to be talked about a little bit more. So, all right, you guys. Well, hope you enjoyed this look at Life and Legend. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.